It is February. It is 18 degrees outside. Your seedlings should be dead. But they are not. Because this wall right here is doing something the nursery industry never told you it could. No grow lights, no heat mat, no electricity bill, just sunlight, recycled cans, and about one Saturday afternoon. I'm going to show you how to build a passive solar air heater designed specifically for gardeners. To protect seedlings, extend your growing season by weeks, and heat a cold frame, greenhouse, or propagation room for almost nothing. And I want to be clear about something before we start. This is not a new invention. Gardeners and homesteaders have been using passive solar collectors since the 1970s energy crisis. The reason you have never seen one at your garden center is simple. Nobody profits from the sun. Grow lights are a $1.3 billion industry. Heat mats, thermostats, climate controllers, all sold at healthy margins every single spring. A box of aluminum cans that does part of the same job for $8 is not something any of those companies wants you to find. But you found it. So let me show you exactly how it works and why it matters specifically for your plants. Here is the physics. And you already know this. You have lived it your whole gardening life. Have you ever placed a black nursery pot in direct sun and touched it an hour later? It burns your hand. That is solar radiation converting to heat on a dark surface. Dark colors absorb light. Light becomes thermal energy. Thermal energy warms whatever is nearby. Your cold frame knows this. Your greenhouse knows this. What you are building is simply a way to capture that heat deliberately, concentrate it, and channel it. Instead of letting it bounce off your siding and disappear into the February sky, cold air enters at the bottom. It passes through a column of aluminum cans that the sun has been heating all afternoon. It exits from the top, warm. The room air cools, drops back down, cycles into the collector again. This is pure convection. No fan, no pump, no electricity. The same principle that lifts warm air above your compost pile on a cold morning. A 3 by 6 foot collector produced over 2,200 BTU per hour. That is enough to keep a greenhouse 40 degrees warmer than outdoors. And for seedling starting, this changes everything. A propagation tray needs 65 to 75 degrees for germination. In February, most people are paying for electricity. This system gets you there with sunlight. Here is what you need. Aluminum cans, as many as you can collect. For a 3 by 4 foot collector, roughly 100 to 140 cans. Cost, $0. Ask neighbors. Ask your local restaurant or bar. They throw them away by the bag. A wooden frame, 1 by 6 lumber to build a shallow box, 5 to 6 inches deep. Scrap lumber works perfectly. Flat matte black spray paint, not glossy. Glossy reflects. Matte black absorbs maximum radiation, $2. Silicone caulk to connect your cans end-to-end into columns, 1 tube, $2. Clear polycarbonate or an old storm window to glaze the front. This is your greenhouse layer. Sunlight gets in, heat cannot get back out. Weather stripping for the edges, $1. That is the complete list, $8 total. Here is how it goes together. Step by step, no special tools required. Clean and dry every can. Remove the tops and bottoms with a can opener so each can becomes an open cylinder, an open tube for air. Stack them end to end with silicone. Build columns tall enough to span the height of your frame. Let them cure overnight. By morning, you have a perfect heat exchanger made entirely from what someone else threw away. Spray the entire interior, cans, walls, everything, with 2 thin coats of flat black paint. Every surface becomes a solar absorber. You are building the most efficient surface area possible for capturing winter sunlight. Now cut 2 openings. One at the bottom, your cold air inlet. One at the top, your warm air outlet. 4 inches in diameter. Attach the polycarbonate sheet across the entire front face. Seal every edge with weather stripping. You are closing the greenhouse. Sunlight comes in. Heat cannot leave. This step alone determines most of your output. Seal it properly. Mount it on the south-facing wall. Tilted at roughly your latitude plus 10 degrees, optimized for winter sun. Exactly when you need heat most. Connect the intake hole through the wall to a low point inside. Connect the outlet to a high point. On the first clear day after you mount it, hold your hand over the outlet hole. Feel what comes out. That is free heat. That is what your south wall has been generating and wasting every single winter day since you moved in. Now here's the part that upgrades this entire system. A small DC computer fan from an old desktop tower, wired directly to a 4-watt solar panel, no battery, no controller, no wiring beyond 2 leads. When the sun shines, the fan runs. When the sun sets, it stops. The system controls itself automatically. Increased airflow pushes more warm air through every hour. It also lowers the temperature inside the collector box, which, counterintuitively, makes it more efficient. A cooler collector loses less heat through the glazing. More heat reaches your plants. The 4-watt panel costs $5 and sits right on the frame, $5.20. The sun now powers both the heat generation and the heat delivery at the same time. For northern climates, one more thing. A note specifically for Canada, northern US, high-altitude zones. When temperatures drop after sunset, air can reverse flow. Cold air in through the top, cold air out through the bottom. Into your seedling room, directly onto your plants. The fix is a simple backflow flap, a piece of thin plastic film from any grocery bag. Cut slightly larger than each interior opening, hung freely so it opens with warm outward airflow but seals against cold. Free. 5 minutes. Install it before the first frost night and your growing space is protected through the entire winter. Now let me show you what this actually looks like at real documented scale. Measured data from a retired engineer. Gary Raya built a passive solar can heater for his unheated workshop in Montana, one of the colder climates. He documented everything: temperature readings, airflow, thermal imaging. His results: 60-degree temperature rise. Peak output of 25,000 BTU per hour. Total daily heat gain equivalent to burning about 2 gallons of propane, free. For a gardener, translate that into seedling math. You need 65 degrees to germinate most vegetable seeds. On a clear February day, Gary's system maintained temperatures 60 degrees above outside. If it is 20 outside, his space is 80. Seeds germinating in February, for free. His heat output compares favorably to commercial collectors at 1/10 the cost. His plans are freely available at builditsolar.com, one of the most referenced DIY solar sites in North America. The heat is already being generated. Every clear day, the sun hits that south-facing surface and generates thermal energy. Without a collector, that heat radiates back into the sky within hours. Every October through March day is a day of free heat. Days you can never get back. The passive solar principles were formally documented during the energy crisis of the 70s. The physics has not changed. The sun has not changed. Your south wall has not changed. The industry kept growing. And nobody put a box of cans on the shelf because there is no margin in sunlight. But you grow your own food. You save your seeds. You build your own cold frames. You are the kind of person who figures things out. This is one more thing you can now build. A note for greenhouse growers. Mount it directly onto the back wall. The collector does not have to heat a room. It can heat a growing space directly. 6 to 8 more weeks of growing. Think about what that means for your harvest calendar. Tomatoes started in late January instead of March. Herbs all winter. $8 and a Saturday afternoon. That is the entire entry cost. The cost of 1 or 2 packs of seeds. I do not know where you are in your journey. Maybe you are running a market garden and economics matter. Maybe you are just starting and have more ambition than budget. Maybe you are building resilience. Without the grid. Without the store. Without anyone else's permission. This is a skill you build once, and it keeps working for you. It keeps working even when the power goes out. Even when propane prices spike. Sunlight is democratic. It shines on everyone. If you build this, I want to see it. Post a photo in the comments. Tag where you are, what you are heating. This community is filled with people who have figured things out and want to share what works. Every week we go deep. Into one growing principle, one building technique, or one system that makes your garden more productive. That is what self-sufficiency actually looks like in practice. Not an abstract goal, but one specific skill at a time. If you are not subscribed yet, this is the time. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you do not miss the next build. Share this with someone with a south-facing wall and a pile of cans. Help them find it before another winter passes. Build it this weekend. Mount it before the next clear day. Hold your hand over the output. Feel the warmth. And then start your tomatoes 6 weeks early because you figured this out. The system is yours now. I am the wise rebel grower. This is the code. Rumo ao hexa. Eu sou a visão de craque, rumo ao hexa.